Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Planet Through Nakshatra series. And this week we're going to be doing Saturn in the Nakshatra of Dhanishta in your horoscope. And what happens when Saturn is in the sign of Capricorn or Aquarius and in the Nakshatra of Dhanishta, which happens towards the end of the Capricorn sign, beginning of the Aquarius sign. So if you have Saturn in Capricorn or Aquarius either towards the end, you will have this placement in your chart. And Nakshatra, as you know, it's a constellation working behind the scenes of a zodiac sign. It's like the wheels of the truck. They move the truck, and the truck, the bed is like a zodiac sign. What you have to understand is that a nakshatra can spill into the other zodiac sign. And the reason why I'm explaining this, these are like baby steps for most of you. But I read my previous comments of my Planets Through Nakshatra series, and you're like, you're talking about two zodiac signs. What's going on? And I guess I'm assuming that most people do know what nakshatra is, but I guess, you guys are new to astrology and you guys finding interest. So I think I should kind of like give you this detail that a constellation, the 27 nakshatras, they can spill from one sign to the other. Especially, it all depends on their degree, because a zodiac sign is 30 degrees long. So if a nakshatra starts at 25 degrees or 23 degrees, and each nakshatra is 13 degrees long, then well, obviously it's going to spill to the next zodiac sign after the 30th degree. Okay? And you should watch all my videos of nakshatras. You will understand the most basics of nakshatras. So anyway, if you do not know if you have the Saturn, where it's placed, what nakshatra it's in, what pada it's in, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, Aspects, and Mahadashas at the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link. So let's get started with our nakshatra video. So Dhanishta nakshatra is a nakshatra which is ruled by Mars. And at the same time, it is ruled by these 8 different deities, which pretty much represents the nature itself, the sky, the wind, the earth, the water. But this is a nakshatra which is symbolized by a beating drum and a flute. Okay? So the best way to understand nakshatra is actually by understanding the symbolism. Symbolism will tell you a lot, and the astronomy of the nakshatra will tell you a lot. This is something I'm researching on right now. I'm no longer even looking at nakshatra in terms of mythological stories, which are very important, but I'm looking at now astronomical placement of nakshatras. Like I was working on 2 nakshatras, and especially in Swati, there's something called Boris void. Where the Boris void is occurring is where the nakshatra of Swati is, which is like the most emptiest space in the universe, or at least through our eyes. And Swati is what? Free air, independence. So you have so much room to roam around. See, this is how you want to think. And so Dhanishta is all about servitude. It's all about duty. It's all about dharma. It's all about giving yourself to a cause for other people. But what happens is there's 2 dynamic signs here, Capricorn and Aquarius. Well, Capricorn represents a governing body, meaning like this is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C.'s job is to serve the people of United States. Okay? Or at least that's what we have been programmed to believe. But that's a whole nother story. But then Aquarius is a sign which wants to help the world, which wants to bring peace to the world, which is all about, social reform, social welfare, large group setting, mass group settings. And Dhanishta is a nakshatra ruled by Mars, which definitely signifies somebody, especially in this day and age, who's very technical in nature. Dhanishta is a nakshatra of architects, real estate agents. It's a nakshatra of technical people, and obviously musicians, or people who sell musical items. I've only had maybe 1 or 2 people who were selling. One was selling tabla online, and the other had like a musical instrumental store, like a DJ, music instruments. They had that, and it's like, well, obviously Saturn was in this nakshatra, but they had like a moon in that nakshatra. So it signifies, wanting to be very rhythmic, meaning these people are kind of like very much attracted to music, and they love dancing, and it gives them the energy to dance. But especially Saturn, when it's put into this nakshatra, one thing you will find is that these people have long lives. Saturn in Dhanishta nakshatra gives a long life. And that goes back to the mythological story of Bhishma Pitama from the Puranic literature known as Mahabharata, where the Pandav's uncle Bhishma Pitama was able to die on his own wits, on his own will. And he obviously, this is a whole story of how he was cursed by a sage from the other dimension or other planet or loka, you can say, and he had to live a long life and suffer, and then he could die. So this is why when Saturn, which represents longevity, Saturn, which is a significator of death, in the Dhanishta nakshatra gives people unnatural long lives. So and yes, I think my grandma, my dad's mom, had Dhanishta nakshatra with Saturn, and she lived 100 years. But obviously, I don't really believe, although she died at 100, it could have been other reasons, but I really don't know if she knows her true birth date. She was born in 1900, and she died in 2001, literally 101. But I don't think she really knew her true time of birth or date of birth even, so it's all an assumption. But when I checked with what I knew, I'm like, whoa, Dhanishta nakshatra, okay. So Saturn here, which represents duty, commitment, sacrifice, discipline, structure, organization. Don't you think Dhanishta nakshatra fits very well towards the causes of Saturn? Because remember, Saturn is a servant, right? Saturn wants to serve the world. Saturn wants to serve everybody. So when Dhanishta comes, the dharmic nakshatra, Saturn wants to give itself to the cause of other people. Like a warrior willing to fight for its country or willing to fight for the world if alien attacks. But especially what happens in Capricorn, Saturn is more concerned with its own homeland. Saturn is more concerned with its own district, its own city, its own council. Where in Aquarius, Saturn will be more like, let's say, a Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, or I don't. These are more spiritual people. I'm talking about more humanitarian, like maybe Princess Diana, or you can look at Angelina Jolie. Obviously, she doesn't have this nakshatra at all in her birth chart, but I'm just giving you an example what type of figures will come out of it. Mostly, I'll be honest with you. I have yet to come to somebody who is that. Maybe perhaps whoever I've seen with this nakshatra may feel that way. Like if you gave them a chance to do something for the world or their country, they will do that. But mostly I've seen people with this nakshatra, because look, majority of the people who get like readings and consultation from me are from India, and I see that most of the people who have Saturn in Dhanishta are in fields of engineering, like especially civil engineering and mechanical engineering. I don't know what, I guess civil engineering is more about building bridges and whatnot, where mechanical engineering is more like, dealing with auto parts and auto mechanics of something. So that's my practical, realistic, analysis of Dhanishta. I've seen real estate agents with Dhanishta nakshatra. And they definitely get a property. Like, look at a planet wherever it's sitting in Dhanishta nakshatra. Especially if that planet is in the 4th house. And I'm talking about any planet, especially Ketu, Mars, Saturn, Moon. If they're in this nakshatra in the 4th house, I mean, literally you can say at one point in your life, you will have your own property. I don't care how poor you are. Somehow, some way you will get it. And somehow, some way you will come out of poverty with this nakshatra. Because remember, Dhanishta is a nakshatra which represents wealth, a complete stack of wealth. In old days, it was more wealth of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, wisdom. In this day and age, it's about money. It's about the Asura. Before it was about Jupiter, now it's about Rahu. There's nothing bad to it. People think, oh no, I want to run away from money. Go run away from money. See how long you survive. Like all the people who say, oh God, you're such a businessman of astrology. You're such a, this and that of astrology, milk money. They don't realize, they don't realize it themselves. That the amount of work that goes for me to bring you all these videos, for me to bring you all these great astrologers, prodigies on this channel, to give you astrology in a fun way, I can't do this part-time. I can't do this like for free for 2-3 hours a day. You'll probably get one video every 2 or 3 months then. So you have to understand, if we are living in a type of a environment and time where you scrutinizing and criticizing somebody for what they're doing because it comes under the realm of spirituality, you're missing the complete dynamics of what this time is, the present time. Sure, there are other people, selling all kinds of remedies, all kinds of this and that. But then sometimes it's a necessity. Like for me to bring you the Rahu movie, how did I do that? Do you know it really costed me $5,000 to create that Rahu movie? With one actor, me. So you can imagine the type of work and money that goes in when somebody says, hey, I'm going to teach you online, or I'm going to have a webinar, this and that. Give them their money. It's an honorable thing now to give that money. Back in the days in Trityug, Satyug, people brought in fire ingredients, wood to the astrologer, because that was money back then. So here in Dhanishta Nakshatra of Dharma, servitude, with Saturn being in Dhanishta, it's all about giving yourself in service to people, but it's not about just doing it for free. Saturn wants to create a dynamic plan to attain that money, to attain something in giving service. Always. So you have to take into account, that Saturn is not just a servant working for free. Saturn would want to make something in return. Saturn is a very practical planet. Saturn is not Jupiter. People mistake that Saturn is all about serving and doing things for free. No, Saturn wants to make money. Go learn about Saturn a little bit. Saturn is our 10th house, original 10th house ruler, 11th house ruler of gains, desires. Saturn wants everything. This is why these people make great businessmen in Dhanishta Nakshatra. And that's why I had to explain all that thing. A businessman is not a bad person if they're providing you something meaningful, right? If there's no meaning to it, okay, fine. You can criticize them, but Saturn always wants to give something more meaningful, but wants to do it in a way where he can receive things. Because Dhanishta is about wealth. Saturn loves wealth. And in this yug, you cannot survive on wood, on doing yagnas. You survive on getting money. Okay? So anyway, guys, I think I've taken too much of your valuable time. This was my analysis of Saturn in Dhanishta Nakshatra. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. Again, if you want to know all your astrological placements, my books, reports, consultations, please check out the links here, because hey, it helps me to bring you everything that you see here. Thank you.